We're back with Alden Chodash of AldenBoxing.com. Alden, Ring Magazine just announced their year-end awards. I want to hear your opinions for their event of the year, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya. Agree or disagree?
There really is no dispute on that. It was a huge event, probably the biggest event since Oscar De La Hoya's bout with Bernard Hopkins in '04. It was on paper, one of the biggest pay-per-view events in the history of HBO pay-per-view boxing. And although the fight didn't live up to the expectations of the events, it was event of the year, it was still a pretty good fight. Definitely not the fight to save boxing up to that kind of hype and standard that they were expecting, but it was a good fight, and event of the year, no doubt. It's event of the year.
Okay, upset of the year, their choice is Nonito Donaire over Vic Darchinyan. Agree or disagree?
Yes, it's definitely the upset of the year, and it was a spectacular knockout, and the knockout itself was one of the reasons that I think it was upset of the year. Just the fact that a sturdy, tough guy that's used to out-muscling and out-punching, knocking out many of his opponents, gets knocked out himself while searching probably too hard for a knockout. Talking about Vic Darchinyan getting starched by one left hook. That's one of the reasons that it's upset of the year, is that he was knocked out, but all in all, it was very unexpected that Nonito Donaire would be the one to beat him, let alone knock him out. So, yes, I agree. It's upset of the year.
And they also have that knockout as knockout of the year. You probably agree?
Yes, definitely. One of the reasons it's knockout of the year is because it was so unexpected in my mind, and it was a fabulous knockout. There was it was a tremendous year for knockouts this year. There's a countless amount of other ones that are equally as devastating, but however, like I said, this one probably gets the nod because it was so unexpected.
Okay, what about round of the year? They've got Israel Vasquez, Rafael Marquez 2, round 3. Agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree with that one as well. It was a fabulous fight, and that was the turning point between just a very good fight and a fabulous fight like it eventually turned out to be.
Okay. Comeback of the year, Paul the Magic Man Malignaggi. What do you think?
Yes, Paul Malignaggi had a very good 2006, giving Miguel Cotto some trouble in his breakthrough fight, and in this year he had some positive results in the win column against also very good fighters such as Edner Cherry, and one of his best performances against Lovemore Ndu. He controlled a very good all-around boxer with his jab and may have won every round, which is extremely difficult against Lovemore Ndu, who gave Cotto a very tough time, winning arguably 5 rounds against Miguel.
Yeah, it's funny that they say it's comeback of the year as if he did something wrong in '06, though. I mean, why do you think Malignaggi gets comeback of the year?
He had a somewhat great '06 just because of the fact that he showed so much against Cotto, but in this year he won a couple fights. He's looked just as impressive or even more against Lovemore Ndu, and that was such a fabulous performance that that probably gave him the nod.
Top of your head, who else would rank high in a comeback of year award in your mind? I mean, obviously not Antonio Tarver, but obviously he didn't beat anybody that good this year. But somebody that looked like he was on the downslide and then really turned it around this year. Anything come to mind?
You could consider Nonito Donaire. He was only had 19 fights before going into '07, and he was an inexperienced fighter, and he also had a loss. I think his record was 18-1. So, based on the 2 great victories over Darchinyan and and Luis Maldonado, that probably would elevate him to the elite, especially after he was only a fighter with 19 bouts with a loss before this year. So that's a candidate. That's
definitely a candidate. Okay, fight of the year, Israel Vasquez, KO 6 of Rafael Marquez. Their second meeting, you agree?
Yes, that's a tremendous fight, really. And it's hard to exceed the expectation. It's hard to exceed how great some people were thinking. It was going to be hard to match the greatness that was produced in the first fight, how exciting that fight was, but this fight was probably twice as great. It was a bloodbath kind of fight. Both fighters landed with great frequency. Both fighters were less shy to throw and connect with punches and take punches. And it was just a great fight. It was back and forth. The rounds were back and forth. And both fighters were hurt. It was a dramatic finish to top it off.
You correctly predicted that Rafael Marquez was going to win their first meeting. What do you think changed to give Vasquez the edge in the second fight?
I think it was just the punching power that probably would have given him an edge in the first fight if not for the nose injury that he suffered. He also dropped Marquez and had him on the verge of being stopped in the third round of their first fight, but in the second fight, he possibly figured out Marquez a little better, didn't suffer from a broken nose, which we knew was definitely intact after the surgery and after the impressive victory over Marquez in the second fight. So punching power gives him an edge in that one, and I think it would give him an edge in a third fight.
Okay.
If it hopefully comes off.
It looks like it will be. And finally, they say that Floyd Mayweather is the fighter of the year. You think Miguel Cotto. Why do you think Cotto should get it over Mayweather?
Mayweather is definitely, if not Cotto, he would be fighter of the year. If not for Cotto's couple of victories over great world-class fighters. But I think Cotto should be fighter of the year just because of the fact that he has overcome adversity and looked very impressive, showing a scientific side to himself against very good fighters that you would least expect him to, such as Shane Mosley and Zab Judah. I was surprised by his resolute style in which he walked through Judah, and although he was rocked in the first round, it didn't change his mentality. He came forward and he avoided some other shots. He showed a better defense against Mosley and somewhat against Judah. I think he should be the fighter of the year. He's fought better opposition than Mayweather. Not to say Mayweather hasn't, but he's looked very impressive against guys that I wouldn't think he would look that impressive against before this year. Okay, so you're saying your opinion Cotto, but you're not totally upset that Floyd gets Fighter of the Year honors. No, I'm not objecting at all, but Cotto, I think, should have got the nod, though.
Okay, this Friday, ESPN, Friday Night Fights, Dominic Gwynn taking on Robert Hopkins, who's lost 6 of his last 7. Dominic Gwynn should have an easy time. What's wrong with Dominic Gwynn? Why isn't he considered a top fighter? Doesn't he have the talent to be one of the elite?
One reason, really, he doesn't have the hunger to take it to the next level. He's a really good all-around fighter, good punching power, better hand speed than an average heavyweight, as well as better all-around boxing skills. But he doesn't really have the hunger, and that's making the difference in close fights, is that he's not trying and pushing hard enough. If it's a lack of desire outside the ring, maybe he should consider something else in boxing. But I think people are giving him too many chances in there. They're tossing him in against very good fighters like a James Toney, thinking that just his boxing skills and his upbringing as a very good fighter in the past are going to fare him well against these fighters, but it's really not. I just don't think there's going to be really much difference, even if he beats a couple of these mediocre heavyweights like Robert Hopkins. When he takes a step up, it's not really. Yeah,
so you think he's had enough chances to show that he's not the quality fighter that people were thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, Joe Calzaghe, Bernard Hopkins, looks like it's going to come off in 08. Who do you think wins that fight?
I think Calzaghe wins the fight, but I'm really curious to see how Hopkins approaches the fight when the bell rings for the first round. He's comes up with a lot of different styles against different opposition. I mean, Tarver overwhelmed him with punches once he figured him out. Winky Reddy flaunted his offense by clinching and shifting and sliding with some punches, quick punches. I think Calzaghe has too much speed, and that workman-like style is going to not fare that well against Hopkins, but I'm still curious about how Hopkins, who's a genius in the ring, how he's going to fight through fight.
So you're saying Hopkins could give Calzaghe trouble, but you're still leaning towards Calzaghe?
Yeah.
Why?
Just hand speed advantage, and just his workman-like style. So awkward, and it's given some of the best technically sound fighters trouble. Hopkins isn't the best technically sound fighter. He's very smart, but I think Calzaghe finds a way.